Morning. Hi. Nice rainy day, huh? We are going to be talking about the fourth item on the page, on the last page there. Subsidies, and there's a lot here. There's going to be five different parts, and you'll expect to see a few questions to look at here. And these are ways that government pays people for certain purposes, where they sort of intervene in the market. I'm going to do the first two today, and then each of the last three. So there'll be an A, B, C, D, and E. Are all going to be separate because they're all kind of complicated. So anyway, here we go. First of all, a subsidy, and I've got some notes I'll show you in a minute, is when government pays somebody for some reason. So you think about Shenandoah getting that grant for that windmill. That is the subsidy that they got. And there are two main types we're going to talk about. The first is called a production subsidy, and the second is called a withholding subsidy. And again, I'll show you notes in just a second. But production subsidies are quite simple. It's just when government's paying somebody for some reason to do something, to produce. When you think about government giving the stimulus stuff right now for COVID businesses, those are production subsidies. Keep on. When Trump ordered the meat companies to keep producing, that's not a subsidy, but if he gives them money, it would be. Or to look for cures. Obviously, that's kind of the main one. So anytime government gives money to a company, a research lab, a university, something like that, to try to come up with a cure or vaccine or research on disease. And the second type would be something like, I think maybe the military, where they're looking at a new guidance system for a missile, or a new, like the Humvee, when they replaced the Jeep in the military. Those were, I think that was subsidized, but stuff like that. So that's your production, excuse me. And I'll just hold the notes up for you here real quick. Got a little glare, sorry, my lamp. That's right, just the first part there. Okay. And you can pause it as you need to. The second type is called a withholding subsidy, and this is where it's the opposite, where government pays somebody to not do something, which seems sort of weird. But right now, you've got people that are getting unemployment through this stimulus package, and they got that $1,200 plus they get an unemployment compensation, and their unemployment compensation is actually more than they would get working. So now you face this quandary when the businesses have opened back up. Do I still take unemployment, or do I start working and take a pay cut? Which, seems counterintuitive, but yet, that's what happens when government does stuff quickly and tries to fix problems. But withholding subsidies, for our purposes, mainly apply to farmers. And it's where you've got people, farmers that are given money to not plant fields. Now, why would you do this? The main point here is that when we produce corn and beans and wheat, we're very good at it, and so consequently we end up having surpluses, which drives the price down, and that hurts farmers' ability to make profits. So they don't want to plant as much, but the problem is they can't, because that's how they make money. So government will give them money to not plant fields, to let it lie fallow, if you ever heard that term, where you let it rest. Excuse me. So what happens here then is that when you don't plant those fields, when the government gives them money, so they give them money. If you have a 10-acre field and you're going to plant soybeans, you're going to get basically how much you would have made had you planted. But that's designed to reduce the supply, and that pushes the price up. And if you push the price up of crops, that's going to help the farmers, especially small farmers, which we'll talk about in just a second. But who it ends up hurting, arguably, are you, as the consumer. You're going to, taxes are used for this. You're paying somebody to not farm completely, if you will, and you're paying more at the grocery store for things like tortilla chips or bread or whatever it is that's being subsidized. Okay? Now, why do small farmers need more help than large farmers? Well, it's because of something that I've got on these notes as well, called economies of scale. This is a big term to know. We'll run across this several times in the next couple of weeks as I finish this stuff up. Um, but basically, economies of scale is what makes Walmart, Amazon. It lets them dominate the competition. Okay, so let me put the definitions up here, and then we'll talk a little bit, and we'll be done. Okay, the first part there. Hopefully, you can read that. I'm trying to get that glare off. Is it better? Hopefully. Okay, there's your withholding subsidy. Government pays someone to not do something. Typically, farmers, like I said, supply drops, price goes up, and it makes profit for the farmer. Now, the second thing, and this is why I put economies of scale. If you cannot read this, the ability to buy or produce at a lower per unit cost. So think in farm terms, that's like a bushel of corn. In Walmart terms, that's like they're buying toothpaste in so much quantity that their price drops. Because if you're Colgate or Crest and you're selling to Walmart, you're going to give them what they want, because otherwise they say, well, we're not going to sell your product. And you sure don't want to lose that account compared to, say, some mom and pop store kind of thing. And the same is true with restaurants. If you compare something like, Starbucks to Falls Perk, the amount of coffee that Starbucks goes through versus Falls Perk is so big that Falls Perk couldn't stay in business if Starbucks really decided to take them on. So economies of scale is what makes Walmart dominate, and Amazon, because not only do they have economies of scale in terms of numbers, they have the online now. You can't go to stores as easily, and it really, really, really helps them. You can see it in reality. So the other question I have, since we're talking about it, how does Falls Perk compete? How do they do it? And that's something I'm going to ask you about. Okay, I'm not going to give you anything right now, but think about how companies compete against economies of scale. All right, that's a good place to stop. Tomorrow we will talk about another thing that farmers do that is designed to help them as well. So, all right, have a good day.